Hello, my dear students. Welcome you all to Sri Jain Rank Zone classes. I am your mentor and your friend for the subject biology, and I will be taking the zoology part, that is animal science. My dear students, today we are going to discuss about double circulation. Double circulation is a very important topic, as because of this circulation, our body and the pulmonary tissues they receives the blood. Double circulation is the passage of same blood twice in the heart through separate pathways for completing one cardiac cycle. It causes only 25% of the blood being oxygenated at one time. The double circulation is the passage of same blood twice in the heart through separate pathways for completing one cycle. Because of this double circulation, only 25% of the blood being oxygenated at one time is circulated all over the body. Okay. Double circulation consists of two parts, pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. Pulmonary circulation, the movement of blood between the heart and the lung is called pulmonary circulation. Deoxygenated blood from the body enters the right atrium. It is passed to the right ventricle and then to pulmonary arch for sending to the lungs for oxygenation. From lungs, the oxygenated blood is brought into the left atrium through pulmonary vein. Through pulmonary vein. Okay. So pulmonary circulation is the movement of blood between heart and lungs. Okay. The lungs receive deoxygenated blood from the pulmonary arteries, which is an exit point of right ventricle. So the deoxygenated blood enters the through the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava and the coronary sinus to the right atrium. Coronary sinus is guarded by Thebesian wall and the inferior vena cava is guarded by Eustachian wall. The right atrium receives the deoxygenated blood and this deoxygenated blood then pours to the right ventricle and from right ventricle it enters to the pulmonary arch. Okay. After being oxygenated in the lung alveoli, the blood through pulmonary vein enters to the left atrium. So this is what the circulation of blood between lungs and heart. Now systemic circulation. Systemic circulation is the generalized circulation all over the body. This circulation is basically initiated by the entry of oxygenated blood. The oxygenated blood enters to the left atrium. It moves to then left ventricle and from left ventricle it enters to the aortic arch. The aortic arch is basically having brachiocephalic trunk, subclavian artery. So all these three major, blood vessels, they supply the blood to different body parts. Systemic circulation, it is the movement of the blood between the heart and the different parts of the body except the lungs. Except the lungs. Okay. So the body receives the blood, but lungs they have received already blood through the act of pulmonary circulation. Oxygenated blood is received by left atrium. It is passed to left ventricle which pumps it into aorta for the supply to body parts including walls of the heart. Walls of the heart they receives blood through coronary vessels. On deoxygenation, the blood passes back into the right atrium of the heart through coronary sinus, inferior vena cava and superior vena cava. Purpose of systemic circulation is to transport oxygen and nutrients to the tissue and remove CO2 and nitrogenous waste from them. So this is the pulmonary circulation and the systemic circulation. Arterial system. It comprises of all arteries coming out of heart and supplying blood to different parts of the body. The heart gives out two main arterial vessels. One is the pulmonary arch from right ventricle and aorta. Pulmonary arch, the pulmonary artery, it basically supplies blood to the lungs and aorta supplies blood to all of the body tissues, whole body tissues. Okay. Aortic sinus gives out right and left coronary arteries to the heart. Aorta then produces a short and wide innominate artery on the right side, a left common carotid artery, and a left subclavian artery before bending down as dorsal aorta. So the aortic sinus gives out right and left coronary arteries to the heart. Aorta then produces a short and wide innominate artery or brachiocephalic, okay, cephalic artery, a left common carotid artery, and a left subclavian before bending down as a dorsal aorta. Okay, innominate or brachiocephalic forms a right common carotid and a right subclavian. Innominate or brachiocephalic trunk, it gives right to right common carotid and right subclavian. Okay, subclavian provides oxygenated blood to forelimbs, chest, and spinal cord. The subclavian artery provides oxygenated blood to forelimbs, chest, and spinal cord. Carotid arteries supply oxygenated blood to the neck, face, mouth, eyes, scalp, and brain. So the subclavian artery provides oxygenated blood to forelimbs, chest, and spinal cord. Common carotid arteries supply oxygenated blood to neck, face, mouth, eyes, scalp, and brain. Okay. Dorsal aorta has two parts. One is thoracic and the other one is abdominal aorta. One is the thoracic duct and the other one is the abdominal aorta. The thoracic aorta gives out esophageal to esophagus, phrenic to diaphragm, branches to back and intercostals to intercostal muscles in thoracic cavity. So the thoracic aorta gives out esophageal to esophagus, phrenic to diaphragm, branches to back and intercostals to intercostal muscles in thoracic cavity. Abdominal aorta supplies blood to visceral organs and lower extremities. It gives first out thick celiac artery with branches like hepatic, gastric, splenic, duodenal, and pancreatic. Abdominal aorta supplies blood to visceral organs like and lower extremities. It gives first out thick celiac artery. This thick celiac artery having many branches like hepatic, which supplies to liver, gastric supplies to stomach, splenic supplies to spleen, and duodenal supplies to duodenum, and pancreatic artery supplies to pancreas. So dorsal aorta has two branches, thoracic aorta and abdominal aorta. Thoracic aorta supplies to the thoracic region that gives out esophageal to esophagus, phrenic to diaphragm, and supplied to the intercostal muscles in thoracic cavity. Abdominal aorta gives out thick celiac artery, which have many branches to supply, like hepatic artery to liver, gastric to stomach, splenic to spleen, duodenal to duodenum, and pancreatic to pancreas. Before celiac artery, abdominal aorta gives out a superior mesenteric artery, which supplies to small intestine, two suprarenal arteries which supplies adrenal and suprarenal glands, two renal arteries which supplies to kidneys, two genital arteries which supplies to genitalia, and inferior or posterior mesenteric artery. First is the superior mesenteric artery, then the inferior mesenteric artery, superior mesenteric artery which supplies to small intestine, inferior mesenteric artery or the posterior mesenteric artery supplies to large intestine, and then divides into two iliac arteries. These iliac arteries supplies to pelvic region or lower limbs. So the celiac artery, the abdominal aorta gives out superior mesenteric artery and inferior mesenteric artery. Superior mesenteric artery supplies to small intestine. Then it further forms two suprarenal to supply adrenal glands, two renal to kidneys, two genitals, okay, and one inferior posterior mesenteric artery which supplies to large intestine. and then it divides into two iliac artery which supplies to pelvic region and lower limbs. 4% of arterial blood passes into the heart, 4%. 10% to liver, 8% to brain, 15% to digestive tract, and remaining to the rest of the body. 4% of the arterial blood, 4% of the arterial blood supplies to the heart, 10% to liver because of high metabolic functions, 8% to brain, 15% to digestive tract, and remaining to the rest of the body. Okay. So the approximate blood flow and the perfusion rate for several tissues, if we talk about for a standard 70 kg male, is as follows. I have to add one slide. Wait a minute. Yeah. So I'll divide into three columns. One is the tissue, then the blood flow per minute, blood flow ml per minute, then the perfusion rate, okay, ml per minute per 100 gram of tissue. So lungs, the blood flow ml per minute is 5400, perfusion rate is 400 ml per minute per 100 gram. Kidney 1230, the perfusion rate is 350. Liver 1550 is the blood flow ml per minute and the perfusion rate is 85. Heart, the blood flow is 250 ml per minute, the perfusion rate is 84. Brain, the blood flow is 750 ml per minute, the perfusion rate is 55. Skeletal muscles, 600 is the blood flow ml per minute and perfusion rate is 2. Skin, 400 is the blood flow ml per minute and perfusion rate is 5. Fat, 250 ml per minute is the blood flow and perfusion rate is 3. So these are different organs and their blood flow in ml per minute and the perfusion rate in ml per minute per 100 gram of tissue. Now we will talk about the venous system. It comprises all the veins that bring blood to the heart. Venous system consists of pulmonary veins, coronary sinuses, portal system, and vena cava. Pulmonary veins are four in number, two from each lung. They bring oxygenated blood to the left atrium. Coronary sinus collects deoxygenated blood from all the walls of the heart. It opens into right atrium. It is guarded by Thebesian valve. Superior vena cava is formed by two brachiocephalic veins, each of which receives deoxygenated blood from jugular vein from head and neck and subclavian vein from upper limb. An internal thoracic vein, part of chest, before opening into the right atrium, superior vena cava receives a small oozygous vein from esophagus and intercostal area. So superior vena cava is formed by two brachiocephalic veins, okay, which receives deoxygenated blood from a jugular vein from head and neck, subclavian vein from upper limb, internal thoracic vein, which is the part of the chest. Before opening into the right atrium, superior vena cava receives a small oozygous vein from esophagus and intercostal area. Inferior vena cava is formed by the union of two small iliac veins, which supplies from pelvis and lower limbs. While on its way to heart, it receives genital veins from gonads, lumbar veins, muscles of back, renal veins, liver, and phrenic veins from diaphragm. Okay. It then opens into the right atrium. So superior vena cava, it is formed by two brachiocephalic veins, okay, which receives deoxygenated blood from a jugular vein from head and neck, subclavian vein from upper limb, and the internal thoracic vein, which is carrying the deoxygenated blood from the part of the chest. Before opening into the right atrium, superior vena cava receives a small oozygous vein from esophagus and intercostal area. Inferior vena cava is formed by the union of two common iliac veins, that is pelvis and lower limbs. While on its way, it receives blood from gonads, genital veins, lumbar veins, carrying the deoxygenated blood from the back, then renal vein from kidney, hepatic vein from liver, and phrenic veins from diaphragm. It then opens into right atrium. Portal system, very important. Okay, what is portal system? When we talk about the hepatic portal system or hypophyseal portal system, it is a system which is made up of portal vein and a capillary complex formed by it in an organ than one of its origin. It is a system made up of portal vein and a capillary complex formed by it in an organ than one of its origin. A portal vein is a vein which collects blood from one organ by the set of capillaries and distributes the blood into the second organ through the another set of capillaries instead of sending blood to the heart. There are three types of portal systems: hepatic, hypophyseal, and renal. Hepatic portal system, it occurs in all vertebrates and is meant for taking blood from digestive tract, pancreas, spleen into liver. The system has a large hepatic portal vein that is formed by veins: splenic vein, inferior mesenteric vein from rectum and distal part of colon, superior mesenteric vein from small intestine, cecum and proximal part of colon, and gastroepipolic vein from stomach and pancreas. So hepatic portal system, it occurs basically in all vertebrates and is meant for taking blood from digestive tract, pancreas and spleen into liver. The system has large hepatic portal vein that is formed by the veins like splenic vein from spleen, inferior mesenteric vein from large intestine like rectum and distal part of colon, superior mesenteric vein from small intestine and proximal part of colon, okay, and cecum and gastric epipolic vein which carries the deoxygenated blood from stomach and pancreas. Okay, functions of hepatic portal system. Hepatic portal vein enters liver and breaks into capillaries. The system function is a short circuit for removal of glucose, amino acids, and other nutrients. It helps to remove glucose, amino acids, and other nutrients. Deamination of extra amino acids and conversion of these amino acids into harmful ammonia and then to urea. Okay, so because of deamination of these extra amino acids and conversion of harmful ammonia into urea is a very important function of this hepatic portal system. Separation of toxic chemicals and detoxification. Separation of toxic chemicals and detoxification. Direct pouring of liver products into venous blood. So hepatic portal vein enters liver and breaks into capillaries. The system functions as a short circuit for removal of glucose, amino acids and other nutrients, deamination of extra amino acids and conversion of harmful ammonia into urea, separation of toxic chemicals and their detoxification, direct pouring of liver products into venous blood. HPS, hypophyseal portal system. Hypophyseal portal system is a portal system. This is hepatic portal system. Sorry, hepatic portal system. You can see the hepatic portal system is having the hepatic portal vein, the hepatic artery. So I will tell you in this way: the aorta, it carries the blood from the left ventricle. This blood is passed then to hepatic artery. It is passed to splenic artery, then mesenteric arteries, to superior and inferior to intestine, then renal arteries or renal afferent arterioles, and common iliac artery. Now it makes a capillary junction. These are lower limb capillaries, trunk capillaries, renal efferent arterioles or renal capillaries, and then the hepatic, these capillaries. So the deoxygenated blood from lower limb capillaries, trunk capillaries, they make common iliac vein, which further merges to inferior vena cava. Okay, this common iliac vein, it receives blood from lower limb capillaries, trunk capillaries, then renal, means the kidney, then liver in the form of hepatic vein, and then it merges into inferior vena cava. So this is known as what? The hepatic portal system. This is the hepatic portal system. I have already explained. No need to remember all these arteries. It's okay. Here it is mentioned. Transportation of blood from the stomach, spleen, pancreas, and intestine to the liver is the main function of hepatic portal system. Primary vessels are hepatic portal vein, which includes gastric veins, left and right, superior mesenteric vein, which includes ileocealic, right colic, middle colic, right gastro-omental, and pancreoduodenal. Then splenic vein, then pancreas, then inferior mesenteric vein, like this. Now comes the hypophyseal portal system. What is hypophyseal portal system? It is a minor portal system that occurs in higher vertebrates. It mainly occurs in higher vertebrates. The system consists of single hypophyseal portal vein. It only consists of one hypophyseal portal vein. The portal vein is formed by the capillaries in the hypothalamus, and it passes into anterior lobe of pituitary gland and breaks up into capillaries there. Hypophyseal portal system is a minor portal system that occurs in higher vertebrates. The system consists of single hypophyseal portal vein. The portal vein is formed by the capillaries in the hypothalamus. Capillaries in the hypothalamus. It passes into anterior lobe of pituitary gland. It passes into anterior lobe of pituitary gland and breaks up into capillaries there. Hypophyseal portal system is meant for pouring hormones. It is mainly meant for pouring hormones. Hypophyseal portal system is meant for pouring hormones secreted by hypothalamus directly into anterior part of the pituitary. Hypophyseal portal system is meant for pouring hormones secreted by hypothalamus directly into anterior part of the pituitary. Renal portal system. It occurs in lower vertebrates, fish and amphibians, reduced in reptiles and apes, and is absent in mammals. It consists of renal portal veins that bring blood from posterior part of the body directly into the kidneys for the removal of waste products. So hypophyseal portal system is meant for pouring hormones secreted by hypothalamus directly into anterior part of the pituitary. Renal portal system, it occurs in lower vertebrates, fish and amphibians, reduced in reptiles and apes, and is absent in mammals. It consists of renal portal veins that bring blood from posterior part of the body directly into the kidneys for removal of waste products. This is hypophyseal portal system. This is superior hypophyseal artery. These are the portal veins. Inferior hypophyseal artery. Okay, this is the hypophyseal vein emerging from posterior lobe of the pituitary gland. Okay, these are also hypophyseal veins from the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. Okay, these are the capillary beds. Okay, so this is hypophyseal portal system. Lymphatic system. It comprises of lymph capillaries, lymphatic vessels, lymphatic nodes, and lymph ducts. So four major components of lymphatic system you have to go through: lymphatic capillaries, lymphatic vessels, lymphatic ducts, and lymphatic nodes or lymph nodes. Lymph. Lymph is a colorless fluid. It is a colorless fluid as it is a part of tissue fluid, which in turn is a part of blood plasma. So the composition of tissue fluid and lymph is same as that of blood plasma, but it lacks RBC and large plasma proteins. Lymph is a colorless fluid, is a part of tissue fluid, which in turn is a part of blood plasma. The composition of tissue fluid and lymph is same as that of blood plasma, but it lacks RBCs and large plasma proteins. As compared to the tissue fluid, the lymph contains very small amount of nutrients and oxygen, but contains abundant carbon dioxide and other metabolic waste. Amoeboid-shaped white blood cells may be present in lymph. Amoeboid-shaped white blood cells are present in the lymph. So lymph is a part of tissue fluid, okay, which is colorless, and tissue fluid is basically a part of blood plasma. So the composition of tissue fluid or lymph is same as that of blood plasma, but it lacks RBCs and large proteins, large plasma proteins. As compared to the tissue fluid, the lymph contains very small amount of nutrients and oxygen, but contains abundant carbon dioxide and other metabolic waste. Amoeboid-shaped white blood cell corpuscles may be present in the lymph. Lymphatic capillaries. Lymphatic capillaries lie close to the blood capillaries but differ from them to extent that they end blindly. So these lymphatic capillaries they end blindly. Moreover, they have extremely thin walls. They are composed of single layer of endothelial cells. The lymphatic capillaries of intestine absorb digested fats. They are milky in appearance and are therefore called as lacteals. Lymphatic capillaries lie close to the blood capillaries but differ from them to extent they end blindly. Moreover, they have extremely thin walls. They are composed of single layer of endothelial cells. The lymphatic capillaries of intestine absorb digestive fats. They are milky in appearance and therefore called lacteals. Lymphatic vessels. The lymphatic capillaries unite to form large lymphatic vessels. The above lymphatic capillaries we have discussed, they basically merge to form large lymphatic vessels. They are composed of outer coat of fibrous tissue, middle coat of muscular tissue, and inner lining of endothelial cells. So they are made up of outer coat of fibrous tissue, middle muscular tissue, and inner lining of endothelial cells. The lymphatic vessels have numerous valves. The lymphatic vessels have numerous valves. Lymph nodes. Lymph nodes are small, oval or bean-shaped structures located along the length of the lymphatic vessels. Lymph nodes are most numerous in thoracic mediastinum, on the posterior abdominal wall, in the abdominal mesenteries, and in the pelvis, neck, and proximal end of the limbs. The lymph nodes they are mainly found in thoracic mediastinum, on the posterior abdominal wall, in the abdominal mesenteries, and in the pelvic region, neck region, and proximal ends of the limbs. The lymphatic nodes present or perform the following main functions. They are the sites for the production of both B and T lymphocytes. Macrophages of lymph nodes remove bacteria, foreign material, and cellular debris from the lymph. So macrophages of the lymph nodes remove bacteria, foreign material, and cellular debris from the lymph. B lymphocytes changes to plasma cells that produce antibodies against invading antigens, while T lymphocytes attack the cells that are foreign to the host body. So lymph nodes they mainly function to provide disease resistance. B lymphocytes change to plasma cells that produce antibodies against invading antigens, while T lymphocytes attack the cells. They are also known as killer cells that are foreign to the host body. Okay. So T cells they, or T lymphocytes they are further divided into killer T cells and helper T cells in the morphodifferentiation between of B lymphocytes. Macrophages or lymph nodes removes bacteria, foreign materials, and cellular debris from the lymph. Okay, both B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes are produced here. So this is all about the lymph nodes. Now coming to next, These are the popular lymph nodes like palatine tonsils, submandibular nodes, cervical node, right internal jugular vein, right lymphatic duct, then intestinal nodes, okay, left axillary nodes. These are the axillary nodes in the armpit. Spleen is already a lymph node. Then small intestine, they have aggregated lymphatic follicles known as Peyer's patches. And these are iliac nodes, and these are inguinal nodes. So inguinal nodes, iliac nodes, Peyer's patches, you know, then axillary nodes, all these are lymph nodes. Palatine tonsils, thoracic duct. The lymphatic vessels on the left side unite to form thoracic duct. The left side of lymphatic vessels, they unite to form thoracic duct. The duct begins at the cisternal chili, which is a sac dilatation situated in the front of the first and second number of vertebrae. This thoracic duct begins at the cisternal chili, which is a sac-like dilation situated in the front of the first and the second lumbar vertebrae. The thoracic duct contains several valves. It discharges its lymph into the left subclavian vein. The thoracic duct contains several valves. It discharges its content or lymph into subclavian vein, left subclavian vein. Right lymphatic duct. The lymphatic vessels on the right side of the thorax, head, neck unite to form right lymphatic duct. It is about 1 centimeter in length. It discharges its lymph into the right subclavian vein. The right lymphatic duct discharges its event into the right subclavian vein and left one discharges its contents into the left subclavian vein. Lymph movement. What is lymph movement? The lymph flows in the lymphatic vessels very slowly, forcing out of fluid from the blood capillaries, sets up some pressure in the tissue fluid. This establishes a pressure gradient in the lymphatics, causing flow of lymph in the later. Movements of viscera, contractions of the body muscles help considerably in the squeezing of the lymph along. The valves present in the lymphatic vessels present its backflow. Movement of villi assist flow of lymph in the lacteals. Gravity helps in the moving of the lymph down the lymphatic vessels of the head and neck. Okay, this is all about lymphatic movement, that how limbs flow. Okay, thus, forcing out of the fluid from the blood capillaries sets up the pressure in the tissue fluid. This establishes a pressure gradient in the lymphatics, causing flow of lymph in the later. Movements of viscera and contractions of the body muscles help considerably in squeezing of the lymph. The valves present in the lymphatic vessels prevents its backflow. Movement of villi assist flow of lymph in the lacteals. Gravity helps in moving the lymph down the lymphatic vessels of head and neck region. Functions of lymph. What are the functions of lymph? The lymph or lymphatic system serve functions as it drain excess of tissue fluid from the extracellular spaces to the fluid. Some of the fluid from the digestive tract is absorbed in the lymph. The lymphatic vessels store this fluid in temporary manner and releases gradually. It is gradually so that the kidney do not face a sudden pressure of urine excretion. Some of the fluid from the digestive tract is absorbed into the lymph. The lymphatic vessels store this fluid temporarily and release it gradually according to the requirement so that the kidney do not face a sudden pressure of urine excretion. It carries carbon dioxide and nitrogenous waste material that diffuses into the tissue fluid to the body. It carries mainly CO2 and nitrogenous waste materials that diffuse into the tissue fluid of the body. It takes lymphocytes and antibodies from lymphatic nodes to the blood. It helps in the transportation of fat that is digested and absorbed in the intestine to the blood in the form of chylomicron droplets. It destroys in invading microorganisms and foreign materials in the lymphatic nodes to maintain quality and quantity of the blood by restoring the fluid and solute that leaves it. So these are the functions of the lymph, in which the major function is that it carries carbon dioxide and nitrogenous waste material that diffuses into the tissue fluid to the body. It takes lymphocytes and antibodies from the lymphatic nodes to the blood. It is transported, or it helps in the transportation of fat that is digested and absorbed in the intestine to the blood in the form of chylomicron droplets. It destroys the invading microorganisms and foreign materials in the lymphatic nodes. It maintains quality and quantity of the blood by restoring the fluid and solute, especially restoring the fluid and solute that leaves it. So these are the functions of lymph. Spleen. Spleen is a reticuloendothelial organ. It is a reticuloendothelial organ. Spleen is the largest component of the lymphatic system. It is large, 7 to 10 centimeter in diameter. It is bean shaped. It is vascular. It is dark red organ located in the abdomen just below the diaphragm at the tail of pancreas behind the stomach. Spleen is the largest component of the lymphatic system. As it is the largest component of the lymphatic system, around 7 to 10 centimeter in diameter. It is bean shaped, it is vascular, it is dark red organ located in the abdomen just below the diaphragm at the tail of pancreas behind the stomach. At the tail of pancreas behind the stomach. Okay. The spleen is composed of red pulp, that is reticular tissue rich in RBCs, having small patches of white pulp, lymphatic nodes scattered in it. The red pulp is enclosed by the capsule of white fibrous tissue. The capsule sends trabeculae into the pulp and is surrounded by visceral peritoneum. The spleen is basically composed of red pulp, reticular tissue in the RBCs, then the small patches of white pulp, that is lymphatic nodes, scattered in it. The red pulp is enclosed by a capsule of white fibrous tissue. The capsule sends trabeculae into the pulp and is surrounded by visceral peritoneum. It is surrounded by visceral peritoneum. Okay, I hope is that understood. Okay, now functions of spleen. First is the destruction of worn out red blood cells. The spleen is also known as graveyard of RBC. It is a reservoir of red blood corpuscles. It is a reservoir, basically, it is a reservoir of red blood corpuscles. Okay, it helps in the formation of A granulocytes. It helps in the formation of A granulocytes. Then it helps in the production of antibodies. It helps in the production of antibodies. It helps in the formation of A granulocytes. It's help in storage of iron, erythropoiesis, disposal of foreign elements. So it helps in the destruction of worn out red corpuscles, that is, it is graveyard of RBC. It is a reservoir of red blood corpuscles. It helps in the production of antibodies. It helps in the storage of iron. It helps in erythropoiesis and disposal of foreign elements. This is the spleen. There is a term splenomegaly, which is a pathological condition. Pathological condition in which a spleen undergoes massive swelling or enlargement. Because of enlargement of spleen, okay, it may be due to the infection or autoimmune condition. There are many cases where splenomegaly is seen. This is the morphology, anatomy of the spleen, yet you don't have to remember everything. Thymus. Thymus is also a lymphatic organ. It lies in the upper chest region near the neck. It is prominent in children but undergoes auto degeneration in the early childhood. It educates the lymphocytes in the fetus to distinguish cells from foreign cells. Okay. Thymus is also a lymphatic organ. It lies in the upper chest region near the neck. It is prominent in children but begins to degenerate in the early childhood. It educates the lymphocytes in the fetus to distinguish cells of foreign origin or cells. Tonsils. Tonsils too are lymphatic tissues. They are located in the throat. They do not filter lymph. Tonsils, they do not filter lymph. They are thought to protect against infection. They are thought to protect against infection. Tonsils, palatine tonsils mainly. So we will be discussing coronary artery disease in the next turn. Till then, bye bye everyone. Take care, stay safe, stay healthy. Please go through the videos again and again so that you can have a better connect between the different topics. Coronary artery disease will be the last topic for this chapter. Then we will start chemical control and coordination. Okay. Bye bye everyone. Take care, stay safe, stay healthy.